And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100% agree. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big John McCarthy.
Well, hello, everybody. Well, hello. Big John is going to be in California, so I'm going to wrap up the last UFC of the year by myself with, of course, Keto George. He's going to be holding down the fort for Big John. You know what you guys kind of look alike now that I think about it?
A little bit.
He's got a little
wide
more
chin.
hair. It's the complexion, right? Yeah, I was thinking that a little bit of the beard slash, like, you got a little bit of Fu Manchu going because can you grow a beard right here?
No,
Little.
It's trying its best, but
It's trying, right? Little baby sprouts.
Yeah.
Put some milk on that thing. Let the cat lick it off. That's how you shave it. Hey guys, well, hopefully you guys enjoy this show, but I want to remind you guys this show is brought to you by BetUS. Use YouTube 150 for your first deposit. That'll give you 150% bonus at YouTube 150. 150% bonus, your first deposit, and then another 2 times they will give you 125% bonus on your next 2 deposits after that. So guys, check them out, man. Use YouTube 150 as the promo code. Also want to thank obviously the best hydration company in the world, LMNT. Big John and I have been holding it down. We love this product. I love this product. My son loves this product. His whole lacrosse team now is drinking this product because of me. I've started getting his soccer team into it as well. The kids are tearing it up, man. But I will recommend this. If you guys buy it, they will send you a bonus package with every purchase in our link down below in the descriptions. But make sure you drink it cold. Ice cold is fantastic. If you let it get a little too warm, it starts getting a little salty salt. It's really it's like drinking like warm salt water. So, but man, look, it's awesome. I think it's a great product. I've been using it for a while now. 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium. Fantastic for your hydration. Also, too, I actually right now, because it's 12:30 in the morning when we're filming this, I drink a little bit before bed because it helps me sleep.
There you go. Get your sodium in, get your beauty sleep.
Get my beauty sleep. It does. It actually helps me sleep. I guess, what's funny is I kind of say this. I was telling my boy this, one of my best friends, and he happens to be black. But I said, yo, man, I've been trying this new product called Oma. I said, it helps me sleep. And I'm like, it has a lot of salt in it. I said, but I have a question for you. They talk about, brothers getting like the itis after they eat fried chicken. He's like, bro, it's all the salt. He's like, for sure it's all the salt. It's the fried food, the salt. He's like, all of that. He's like, because I just remember we'd have conversations about it. He'd be like this. Yeah, man, I'm getting tired, bro. I just got the eating. My eyes were like, his eyes were, it's like you thought he smoked a blunt. No. Well, yeah, you always talk about it. It was funny. Also, too, want to join us over there at OnlyFans. It is a free subscription for us over there. Hit us up and join us over there. Hey, you know what? I'm going to start this one off with an oldie but a goodie. Helen Yee, she did an interview a long time ago with Tito Ortiz. And I thought it'd be kind of funny to kind of start off just with a little bit of history of the sport of MMA. But this is one of the most funniest parts. You know what I'm talking about, George?
Oh, yeah. I know.
You know what I'm talking about. Look, it's a classic, but it's old school. But I thought, you know what? Let's have some fun. So Big John's not here today. He kind of spoils all the fun. He kind of wants to like run things on a tight ship. But then he forgets that, man, Keto George and I run this show. Come on, bro.
Yeah, the kids
He's not
are
here
in
to defend
town.
himself. So
The kids are out.
Yeah, the kids are out right now. I'm going to go ahead.
Yes, it'll be in April. 15 years is 2 decades. It was Gregor Conor McGregor. Liam says he's going to knock me out with devastating fashion. He got some big words to fulfill those shoes. This guy can't even put a fucking sentence together, man. He's reaching for those grapes. He's trying to make his wine, and the wine's already sounding like a violin with that cheese and wine. Right hook to the body. You fans tune in. I never let you down until now. I won't start.
I came in here 110% mental. That's about 100% of this game. I want to tell me what you see. Let's go ahead and see by the fight what you saw in the ring.
I'm a totally different person than I was 12 years ago. I'm faster, I'm stronger, I'm younger. 5 days a week, I'll train 3 days a week.
I'm younger.
One of those days, I will train 2 days of the week. So 6 days a week, I'll be training. I'm only 43 years old. I'm an old mature. I'm matured old. Very fast.
True, you're coming back in the fall, though.
Yes, it'll be in April. It'll be in April.
That's the best one. You're coming back in the fall. Yeah, it'll be in April. Look, it was an oldie but a goodie. I had to go back and play that one for you guys, but it was just fun to kind of, rehash some of the old times. It's just fun. It's fun, man. It's fun. All right, hey guys. Well, you know what? I'm gonna jump right into the breakdown for the fights. Hopefully you guys enjoy this. But go ahead and let's see, George. Give me the names of the main event. Go ahead, George.
We had Kobe Chaos Covington versus Joaquin New Mesa Buckley.
What'd you think of the fight there, buddy?
I like blood. I like Hulk Hogan. I like America.
Very generic answer. Very good though. Look, I gotta say this is there's a lot of ways I could talk about this fight, but let's just talk about Colby Covington first, and then I'll go ahead and give Joaquin Buckley his due. But I'm not going to take anything away from Joaquin Buckley. I'm going to simply say that, look, once you've trained a prestigious gym like American Top Team, and then you found your way out of it, and now you're running kind of your own camp and you're kind of doing your own thing at a smaller facility without a whole lot of people to really train with that are at that top level. When you just left the gym that had basically a plethora of world-class fighters there, you saw it tonight. I don't know if it's the age as much because I know he's older, but let's be honest. Within 2 fights, he doesn't look like the same person. Since he's left the gym, since he left American Top Team, he doesn't look like the same person. After halfway through the first round, he was taking deep breaths. If you go back and watch, he kept going like he was. Look, I don't want to say he was winded. I'm simply saying that he was having a hard time catching his second win or breaking that first win. And that can be common if he didn't warm up well enough in the back. I get the feeling that he's someone that does kind of grind it out in the back first to break the sweat, and he comes out. That's what gives him the ability to go ahead and push the pace as the fight goes on, especially second, third, fourth round. Those are those rounds where you're trying to catch your second, sometimes your third win. But not having the talent that he needs to kind of help him push his pace in training is what I feel like I'm seeing right now. I'm seeing a fighter who is having a hard time setting a pace that he's not able to do inside the cage against world-class fighters because he doesn't have world-class fighters to train with anymore. And so that's kind of where I'm at with him and Colby Covington. I think you're going to pretty much see him start to fall off by the side. Joaquin Buckley was on fire tonight. He was doing everything right. Physically, he's strong as hell. He used to fight at 85, really explosive. Was in Bellator, was also and then came over to the UFC. But like they were saying, it's a big difference when you're active. When you look at when you look at Joaquin Buckley, this is his 4th fight this year. That's what they were talking about. And he's fought, since he's been in the UFC, he's fought like 15 times. Colby Covington right now he's been fighting like basically once a year. Let me go ahead and look at his record real quick. He hasn't been as active as he should have been. He fought in 2024. He fought once in 2023. He fought once in 2022, once in 2021, once in 2020, twice in 2019, once in 2018, basically one fight a year. And he's been fighting the best guys. I'm not going to sit here and say he hasn't been. He's been fighting the best guys. But the difference between him and Joaquin Buckley is when you get out there, when you're not as active, what you see is what you saw tonight from Colby Covington. Someone who looks like if they're not in the gym constantly training with world-class athletes, which like every day is a fight, then you're not, when you get back into the cage, it's not the same. And we saw that tonight. And Joaquin Buckley has been active. He's been on fire. His confidence is key. Like he seems like he's riding on cloud 9. Everything is operating on all cylinders. Like his takedown defense was on point. His ability to get up. You could tell he took a little breather down there at the bottom. But man, when he finally decided to get up, he got up. And outside of that, man, the boxing was on point. He didn't rush things as we've seen him do before in the past where he just comes super aggressive. He was fighting a very smart tactical fight because he knew that if I lose 1 takedown, 2 takedowns, this fight could start to get away from me and I could be down 2-3 rounds, to none coming into the 4th round. I don't want to be there. So he fought a very smart fight. I think if you're watching at home, you have to understand, go back and watch some of Joaquin Buckley's old fights. He lunges in, big loopy shots, couple, he throws a good straight jab, but then he kind of comes with big loopy shots after that. He carries a lot of muscle, so you expect him to slow down. But since dropping from 85 to 70, he looks fantastic, man. I think when he finally understood, I can have a real career here. I can be successful. And sure, I'm going to have to suffer a little bit right now, but I think I can make a run. And he sure enough is making a run. The last thing I want to say about with Joaquin Buckley, if you're this active, and because he was always in that tweener position, he was 185, 170, 185, 170. And you could tell he's like, I don't want to make the weight. But the thing is, when you're an active fighter and you're constantly fighting and you're having success, it makes it easy for you to just keep your weight down. So as soon as I'm done fighting and I get a win, I'm like, you know what? I didn't take a whole lot of damage. I got a little cut here. You know what? Stitches 5-7 days. Okay, I'll get back into the cage. I'll get back in hitting mitts, hitting the bag, jumping rope, getting some running in. Let's go collect another check. Let's go do that. And I look back at my own career a lot, and I know a lot of you guys in the comment section, you guys are haters because you hate that I talk about my own career. You guys forget that I was in there for a bit, 20 years I was in there. But the bottom line is I will look back at my career and I think to myself, damn, I should have fought more, you know? And Joaquin Buckley right now is doing that. Kevin Holland's doing that. How many times have we seen fighters that, you know, when they were more active, they were constantly winning? Now there's certain guys like Donald Cerrone, right? He shouldn't have taken fights at certain moments. He was next in line for a title shot. He took a fight when he shouldn't have because he was coming off of a great win. And then he loses that fight and it sends him back, you know, and then he gets one or two more wins. And then he goes in and takes another fight that he probably shouldn't have taken. And then he gets a loss. But he is always the gamer. He's always down to fight anytime, anywhere. But I think that type of activity can sometimes cost you the ultimate goal, which the ultimate goal was to get to the title. Joaquin Buckley right now is on track, you know, having success. Huge win tonight over Colby Covington. Fantastic win also. He fought a very smart fight. If you guys were watching that fight from beginning to end, he came out, was throwing big shots aggressively. You know, he did everything properly. He waited for Colby to kind of like give feints. He'd feint, get Colby to react, and then he would throw. And then he just made sure. And then on the takedown defense, you notice how Colby drove him to the fence. He put his feet against the fence and he circled off, so he wasn't being taken down against the fence out in the open. He did a lot of great things tonight that were impressive to me. He looks like he's whatever he's doing right now in his gym is firing on all cylinders. He's feeling good right now, and I thought it was a great performance by Joaquin Buckley. You know, Colby's got to work some things out. I don't know where he goes from here, but if I'm looking, let me see. Let me go over here and look at these rankings over here. If I'm looking at Colby Covington and where he should be at right now, I mean, he just lost to Joaquin. I think Joaquin was ranked. Sorry, it's pulling up right now. So, Joaquin, what was Colby ranked? Do you know?
Colby was 6. Joaquin was 9, I believe.
Okay. So he'll jump up to 6. You know, I mean, he may get up in that number 5 also, somewhere in that mix. He had such a good performance against Colby Covington. I know they stopped it because of a cut, but it's always those grazing glove shots and those grazing shots that end up doing the most damage. But I thought Joaquin Buckley did a fantastic job tonight. He fought a very smart fight. I think Colby's got to figure out what he's going to do. Either he needs to find a real camp to get to. You cannot run. How many times have you guys heard this? A fighter that tries to run his own camp. It just doesn't work. There's too many elements to the game. You need to have coaches that will run your camp. And then on top of that, you also need to have other fighters that are in there helping you get better every single day because they're trying to get better every single day. You've got to have that top tier of fighters. It's so weird because MMA is not like boxing. What you'll see in boxing is they'll have one coach that will drive them from location to location to get sparring in, or they'll have fighters come to them for sparring. And you'll have just one coach because there's only one element of fighting that they're teaching them. It's just the footwork, but it's the boxing portion. That's it. There's no wrestling. There's no grappling. There's no judo. There's no kickboxing. There's no, it's not all mixed together. And so with boxing, you can get away with one, maybe two coaches. You have a strength conditioning coach, maybe a nutritionist. You know, they're kind of both the same. The strength conditioning and the nutritionist are normally the same. And then you have your boxing coach. In MMA, you've got so many coaches. Sure, you have a head coach, Javier Mendez, who was my head coach. Bob Cook was my head coach. I call them both my head coaches because Bob would actually get on the mat and grapple with me. Bob would actually get in the ring and spar with me, you know, and Bob would do everything. One thing Bob wouldn't do, though, he wouldn't go to the gym and run with me. So he wouldn't do that. But, Javier would hold mitts for me, and Javier would sit and watch me hit the bag and tell me what to do here and there. And, that was pretty much about it. Game planning wise, the two of them work together. Colby Covington needs somebody that will literally like control his camp from beginning to end. But he also needs, and I know it's not going to happen. He needs a George Masvidal. He needs a Dustin Poirier. He needs, a Sabah Homasi. He needs those guys that will threaten him in sparring and in training to make him realize that, look, I've got to be pushed in this area because I'm getting a little bit weaker there. His wrestling tonight did not look good. Now, his wrestling has never looked fantastic, but it was effective. Tonight, it was not effective. I don't know if it was the conditioning. I don't know, but he just didn't have the strength, the energy, the push to get deep enough on Joaquin Buckley to get to the takedowns. I got the one takedown, was able to control for a little bit. No damage was done, no real control. And that's another thing with him is that there is no real threat once he does get you down. He hangs on you, rabbit shots, little kind of like just little bunny shots, rabbit shots like to the side. Not much heat on those punches. So if you're someone like Joaquin Buckley, look, once I'm ready to go, I start to explode up. If he starts punching me, that makes it easier for me to get up because his hands aren't locked. So there was opportunities for Joaquin. He understood what he had to do. Fantastic performance by him. But I think Colby Covington's going to be a little lost for right now. He needs to find an actual gym facility that will welcome him. That's one. And two is that has enough people around his weight class that can give him good work. So, I mean, look, most of you guys think I'm not a fan of Colby Covington. I don't know him, never met him. I've seen him in passing. That's about it. Outside of that, I think he's good for the sport. No matter how brash people think he is, or no matter how, whatever he is to people, he's good for the sport. He brings eyeballs to the sport. He's the main event tonight. I mean, the UFC is not main eventing people unless you're actually bringing eyeballs to them. So I think in this situation, he needs to find a location where he can go and get some real talent to work with him side by side, some guys that can push him, or start bringing people in. Do the best you can to bring some top tier talent in. Go a group of guys for a week and then a new group of guys the following week, or go a group of guys for 2 weeks and then take a week off and just spend time with your coaches, fine tuning what you need, and then bring in another group of guys for another week or two. That sometimes will work as well. We had some guys that did that for a while. Kane used to do that. DC used to do that. I think Habib never did it because he normally just had like myself, Islam, other like guys from Dagestan that would come with him that were bound that weight class. Abu Bakr, his cousin, would come with him and give him plenty of work too in a bunch of areas. So, but yeah, something to be said about that. I think Colby he's got to find a location to really train. Let's go ahead and jump. What's the next fight?
We got Swanson versus Billy Quarantillo.
Oh, man, it's good John's not here, man, because I was going to throw him under and be like, yo, remember when you said you thought Billy was going to get that win? But guess what? I picked Cub to win in the Bet US odds because Cub was the underdog, and he should have been the underdog. But I just felt like I feel like Cub still has something to prove. He still has enough in the gas tank. And I know tonight, he had his beautiful wife there. His kids weren't there, but it was just one of those things where I felt the energy from his last fight. I felt like there should have been something there. He's somebody that he's got power. From his last fight with Feely. He's just one of those guys with when he fought Feely that the fight could have went either way. It was one of those fights where they were exchanging blows. Then tonight with Billy, he was finding his mark with his straight right hand. The other combinations were kind of missing just a tiny bit, but it was just eventually it was a matter of time before it finally got to there. But it was that he had to finally load up. He had to hit the left hand first, finish up with the right hand. But he looked like he was starting to slow down in that second round a little bit. But I thought in that first round, he looked fantastic. I thought the second round was close. I would say maybe Billy won the second round. I was leaning more towards Billy winning the second round. So going into the third, and Cub just found the mark, man. Cub is one of those dogs. You can never count him out. You got to be careful and cautious with him on the feet. He does sometimes lunge in. He leaves himself out of position, but He's going for the gusto, man. And how do you not respect those kind of fighters? And so with Billy, it felt like he looked like thought he could just walk through everything Cub did, and eventually Cub's going to get tired. I'm just going to keep hitting him, and eventually I'm going to put him away because he's older. He's 41 years old. I'm a little bit younger, and I can go ahead and get after him, and I'll take advantage of this later in the fight. It's hard to do that against guys that are as seasoned as Cub Swanson. So I thought it was a great performance by Cub. Congratulations to Cub, man, and good for him, man. That's going to be – I want to see what happens because his first comment was, well, I was talking to my wife and this, this could have been it, this and that. But, go back to the drawing board or go back home and kind of talk about it some more. I mean, if you're going to go out, that's the fight to go out on. Just my personal opinion. If you're going to go out, that's the fight to go out on. So, sorry, excuse my throat, man. I've been out in the rain and soccer and yelling all day for soccer and lacrosse. Manel Kape versus Bruno Silva. Even though it was body kick and punches in this fight, it was really the story of the dick kick. That's really what it was the story of. It was an eye poke and it was 3 dick kicks and it was continuous. So I think that kind of changed the shape of the fight, as well as it looked like Manel kind of caught Bruno on the top of the cup when he threw his dick kick. And Keith Peterson didn't see it. Just the positioning or just not seeing if it landed clean, not wanting to stop the action, whatever it was. But look, let's be honest. Manel Kape was running away with this fight. I mean, he was out there looking good, talking to Dana White, in between rounds, and, gave Dana an earpiece, afterwards. I thought overall, Manel looked fantastic. He's got to be cautious, though. The difference between Bruno Silva and the other guys in that weight class is, I mean, look, Bruno's good. He's fast hands, started off really well when he was in the first round. But I'm looking at these guys. You look at certain guys. You got Perez, you got Tatsuro Taira, you've got Kai Kara France, you got Albazi, you've got Brandon Moreno. I mean, you've got Roy Vol. You've got guys that are there. You got guys for him to fight. I'd like to see some fights mixed up in there. Maybe him and Albazi, maybe him and, I would say Kara France, but it wasn't a good fight the first time. So, I mean, look, when I'm looking at this fight here, I mean, look, there's also Urseg's ranked a little bit ahead of him too. So there's fights to be made there. But I look at Manel Kape and I think to myself, man, you looked fantastic tonight. He looked fast. He looked clean. The head movement, the having fun out there. For you guys at home watching, and when you see a fighter doing that, look, I know we think about like Anderson Silva and how he kind of they were talking about Anderson Silva was kind of showboating a little bit when we fought Chris Weidman and he got clipped and got put asleep. Well, in this situation, when you're talking about 25 pounders, not all of them have one punch crack power, right? Chris Weidman's got the power. Silva's got the power. Guys like that have, substantial difference in power there. In this fight, in the 125 pound division, it's very rare you'll find guys that have enough power to start starching these dudes. But Manel's one of those guys, man. He's got some pop. And he had opportunities tonight to try to get him out of there, which he eventually did. But I'm simply saying it was one of those things where it was led by the body kick, dick kick / body kick, and then the follow-up was spectacular. But it was good that he got him out of there because when you're winning a fight so dominantly and not able to get him out of there, it starts to think like, okay, well, what, you just can't finish? And he's one of those guys that has all the tools, really good at sprawling and brawling, really good at letting the hands go. Probably should kick a tiny bit more because he's got really fast kicks. But outside of that, I mean, he made it look easy tonight against Bruno Silva, who's a fantastic fighter, extremely tough. And we're going to move on. Dustin Jacoby versus Vitor Petrino. Jeez. Did you see this fight there, George?
Oh, yeah.
Man. What's funny is I felt like the first 2 rounds were close. Did you feel the same way? Because there just wasn't a lot of activity.
Yeah, it was a lot of like trying to overload the central nervous system, a lot of juking and jiving. But Dustin Jacoby, he was just standing his ground like a man. He put his foot down. He said, "Come forward, young man."
Like a man. No, I thought Jacoby did some good work in terms of like, even though he took some big shots, he didn't let it get to him. He just kind of stayed the course with the game plan and let Petrino kind of stalk after him a little bit, but eventually bink, bink, and it was done. I mean, just lights out, no reason to even follow up. But I mean, like it was one of those moments where it was almost like a Chris Wyman Anderson Silva moment. I was like, oh, what just happened right now? Because let's be honest, Jacoby was losing. He lost the first 2 rounds, but it was close. It wasn't like he got hit with the cleaner, harder shots, but it wasn't like he got hit like 4 or 5 times. It was like 1 or 2 hard shots or 3 shots, during the round that kind of set Petrino apart from Jacoby. So when I looked at that fight, when I was watching the fight, I'm like, man, if Dustin Jacoby just do a little bit more, have a little bit more success, maybe try to wrestle a little bit, maybe try to push the pace a little bit in terms of grinding on him, hanging on his head, pushing him to the fence, make him start using all that muscle and start slowing down. That wasn't the game plan, I guess. It was like drag him into deep waters, see if there's an opening, eventually I'll try to catch you, and sure enough, it worked. But you got to be careful with those type of game plans, because when you start watching guys like Rob Font, right? You win the whole round, or not Rob Font, Marlon Vera. You win the whole round, but like you lose the whole round, but then you can kind of win that last minute and get the win. That's kind of where Petrino was, right? Petrino was like kind of landing 1 or 2 shots. Jacoby was kind of waiting around for it to happen, waiting for the opening. The opening never really comes. You've got to create that opening. And so, like with Vera, Marlon Vera, with Chito, with his fight with Rob Font, he's catching him at the end of the rounds and winning that round. But then in some of his past fights, he's come up short because that opportunity never comes up. Mm-hmm. So you got to create that opening, you got to create that opportunity. And I looked like he did tonight, man. That was a great knockout, fantastic knockout, highlight reel type knockout. But I guess my next question is 11-2, 2 losses. He's got to win over Tyson Pedro, and he's got to win over Bukowskis. And he's got some good wins. But then you get up here to the last 2 fights. Anthony Smith got caught by a guillotine, and then he gets KO'd. Not good, man. Not good. You've been submitted and you've been knocked out in your last 2 fights. Like, we gave you the opportunity. I had high hopes for him, man, Petrino, because he looks the part.
Oh, yeah.
Hercules. I mean, he looks, yeah, right? Like, he looks that part. So, overall, though, man, it was a very disappointing performance for him. It wasn't great even in the first 2 rounds. He was landing some hard, heavy shots, but it just wasn't enough. I mean, he won the rounds, but like if I'm Dana White sitting cage, I'm like, okay, I was expecting you to really come out and show me something tonight, and we didn't get that tonight. You got knocked out, actually. All right, Dale Marcos versus Adrian Yanez. I got to be honest, man, this was probably one of the best fights of the night. Mm-hmm. What a fantastic fight. Split decision. George, who'd you have winning that fight?
I had my guy Adrian winning.
Okay.
But I'm biased because I like Adrian. But I don't know. I thought he was doing good. He was, it's so back and forth. They're so fast. Mm-hmm. I just thought he was etching away some of the rounds. I thought he was slithering his way in there,
Yeah, I thought Yanez looked good too. I thought it was a good fight. I thought the 2 of them were looking good. Man, Marcus is a lot better than I thought. I thought in the raise up in competition, we'd see him struggle a little bit. We did not see that. And he looked good, man. He looked really good. He looked clean. He looked like the part that I felt like maybe set him apart from Yanez is that even though Marcos got hurt in one of the rounds, Yanez looked like he was the one that was getting pushed around by the shots, even when they didn't land clean. Marcos's shots had more of an effect on Yanez, not in terms of I hit him and he got dropped, or in terms of I hit him and he got wobbled. It was more like every time I hit him, even if I hit him with my forearm, if I hit him with my bicep, if I hit him, I bumped his body, he was off balance. The physical size of Marcos was just something that, like, the size and the thudding power, right? He'd land something, it would knock Yanez off balance, and it looked like Yanez was struggling with just the physical strength or the size of Marcos. But man, Yanez I thought looked great too. I would say this though, I kind of agree with you. I thought Yanez should have inked it out, but it was such a close fight. I'm kind of not mad at it, to be honest. You know, I don't know where what's your take on it? You mad about it? You gonna go home, get upset about it?
I don't. It's hard to get me mad, man. It's hard to get me riled up.
I don't know, man. I can show people the tweets, man. I got receipts, bro. Your responses to me sometimes are straight out of like Compton style. Like I thought you were come MS-13 come knock on my door, try to collect your money. Navajo Stirling versus George Tokkos. Man,
Tokkos, not George Tokkos.
What?
Tokkos.
Oh, Tokkos. Well, it says George right here on the thing.
Maybe that's his other name.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's his other name. You don't want me to call him George because that's your name?
Yeah, that's me, baby.
Fuck that dude. Man, fuck that dude. No.
And he lies about being 6'4". He was not 6'4". Navajo made him look.
Nah, you know what it is, right? TV makes you look smaller.
But you're standing next to another person that's 6'4". Is fisheye lens?
It's my life, bro. I'll fucking make up whatever size I want to be. You know how I am, man. I tell people I'm 50 years old just so they'll fucking leave me alone. I tell them, the reason why I tell them I'm 50 years old, I round up because I'm 46. I round up to 50. The reason why I do that is so people tell me I look good, so I can feel good about myself. I do the Deion Sanders thing, man. Look good, feel good, play good kind of shit, right? If I tell you I'm 40, if I tell you I'm 50, and you tell me I look good, the rest of my day is fucking money, man. I feel great the rest of the day. I feel like I can conquer the world. So just if you guys ever, come up to me and you ask me how old I am, I'm going to tell you I'm 50. And I need a compliment from you guys because that makes me feel good about myself. So I'm always looking for, I'm fishing for them, man. I'm out there with my fucking fishing reel, trying to fish for them compliments. All right. But Navajo Stirling, I thought he looked good. You know, I think this was his first fight in the UFC, right? Debut.
Yeah, he had a Dana White.
He came off the Dana White Contender Series.
He was only 5-0 before this.
Yeah, but I mean, look, he looked good, and then that first fight jitters, they're legit. Like he looked good in the first round. You could tell in the second round he started slowing down. Third round, he wasn't the same guy he was in the first and second, which most people aren't. But I mean, like you could tell the nerves were kind of getting into it, and he wasn't impressed with his performance. At the end, he's like, he thought he probably could have done better, which I agree, probably could have. But that first fight jitters. He got it out of the way. We've seen world-class guys come from other promotions and have just not a great performance. It's the first fight in the UFC. They come in, they're like, oh, I've done this. But guess what? It's different when you fight in there. It's different when you get inside that cage. Sometimes it's different, too, when you go from the UFC to another organization. Look at how many guys left the UFC, went to PFL, went to Bellator, didn't have success, right? I mean, Anthony Pettis, former champion. Struggled when he got to the PFL. Look, it's just because it doesn't feel like home. Sometimes, like, look, you're accustomed to something and you change it up that much, it's difficult. I mean, this young man, he came out. You can see the jitters were there. You can see that he wasn't fighting to his potential, but guess what? Got the win, and that's all that matters in this situation. He fought through it. He got the win when he wasn't feeling like he was going to get it, and man, looked good. I thought it was a good performance for first time. But let's talk about my boy, man. Michael Johnson versus, I don't even know how you say this guy's last name, Azaitar. But Michael Johnson with the lights out power. But I will say this. I would love to see, because I saw he brought this up in the press conference. I want to see him and Gaethje again. He wants that rematch. I want that rematch. I want to see that fight. I mean, wouldn't you agree?
Maybe.
Both coming off knockout losses.
What do you mean Michael Johnson just knocked somebody out?
No. I'm sorry. He's coming. I'm sorry. I didn't say. Did I just say both?
Yeah.
No, sorry, my bad. I meant to say that Gaethje's coming off a knockout loss. Gaethje knocked him out. I mean, I think it'd be kind of a cool fight for the two of them to get after each other.
I just feel like it's a big jump in ranking for Mr. Michael Johnson. Not that he doesn't deserve it, though. He's been fighting since probably I was a baby, but.
Let me see. Okay, here we go. Justin Gaethje. Man. Yeah, his last fight was against Max. I was trying to think. I was like, did he fight against since then? Okay. Look, I would like to see the Michael Johnson and Justin Gaethje fight again. The two of them, it's guaranteed fireworks. I mean, I don't see how that could be a boring fight. The first fight was not boring.
Let's put him
Neither
back
one
in
of
there
them.
with Dustin Poirier. Let's put him back in there with Khabib. Let's put him back in there with everyone.
Two, Michael Johnson?
Yeah.
I mean, Khabib's like probably
Against the world.
200 pounds right now.
Against the world.
Khabib's like 200 pounds right now. So
me and Khabib have the same roundness in our face right now.
But bro, he's still training though. He trains every day with those boys.
I believe it.
He's just filling out his body. He's just walking around 200 pounds, just smashing on these boys. It's crazy. Great performance by Michael Johnson. The hand speed's still there. Obviously, the power's there. I'd like to see him wrestle a little bit more. That's really what I'd like to see him do. But I thought he fought a great fight. I mean, look, when I'm looking at these guys, he wants to try to get up in that top ranking. And for him to do that, he's got to fight himself one of those top guys at 155. I mean, we could see, him and Benoit Saint Denis would be good.
Ooh,
him and Saint Denis would be good. Him and you know what? Why don't we put him and Paddy Pimblett?
Why not? Paddy's already beaten up all the old people.
Yeah, I mean, look, we could see. How about maybe? You know what? Oh, never mind. They train together. I was say, how about him and Michael Chandler? But I did see this tweet though.
Michael Chandler and Poirier getting spicy.
Yeah, I like that. Because Chandler posted that video, or posted a video of Michael Johnson knocking out Dustin Poirier, and literally he said, "Oh, this is still one of the greatest right hands or whatever, overhand rights or whatever in the game." And then Dustin Poirier comes back, beautiful quote. Yeah, kind of like when I knocked your ass. I kind of want to beat your ass. I thought it was great. Don't forget, fucking, what did he call himself? Fucking Mikey Mike or whatever it is. Fucking, you're fucking 2-4 in the UFC.
Money Mike, baby.
Money Mike. No, it's not Money Mike. It's like Milky Mike or some shit. I don't know. It's something like that. But those two, man, they don't like each other. And Dustin was the one talking about how, like, Chandler's, he's a cheater. He cheats inside the cage. And then we see the last fight, and we see the other fights, and everyone starts putting two and two together, like, oh man, this guy is a little bit of a dirty fighter. But man, Michael Johnson, stud, fast hands, still got power, still got the wrestling, takedown defense. Man, the guy can do it all. He's got to kick a little bit more though, because with his hands, I think if he kicked a little bit more, I think it would help set up his hands a lot better, and he'd have more knockouts. But he's a fantastic fighter, man. True story. Him and I were supposed to fight, and literally he pulled out of the fight like 10 days before. Then I got Bobby Green for the next fight, and man, that was one of those fights, man. I wish I could have back. Yeah, frustrating. Anyways, but it was funny because Bobby or Michael Johnson and I were supposed to fight, and he pulled out. Oh, let's go ahead and go. Let's see.
Yeah. Joel Alvarez versus Jakar Klose.
I mean, overall, just a great performance by Alvarez. I mean, he really kind of just dominated and controlled the cage. I mean, it was a quick fight though, with the 2.5 minutes in. Mm-hmm. But good job by Joel Alvarez. Beautiful knee. It was the knee that did the damage before he got to the guillotine. He did the knee. It looked like he was knocked out already. He put the stop guillotine on, and he just like wasn't even defending. His arms just went limp. I'm like,
he just kind of landed in the arm right there and just kept getting.
But great performance by him. Sean Woodson, fantastic performance.
Ooh, yeah.
Padilla just kind of came forward, thought he was going to be a bully, thought, hey, Woodson's not going to be able to handle my pressure. He's not going to be able to handle my power. I'm going to walk him down. I'm going to put the hands on him. I'm going to mix it all up. I will say this. I'll go back to what Bisping was saying and Paul Felder. Like, if you're fighting Sean Woodson, just kick. And if he catches your kick, or if he knocks you down off of you kicking his calf, go down to the ground. Welcome him on down there. He ain't jumping in no one's guard, man. Like, I'm sorry, but if you have purple belt level jiu-jitsu, you're going to be able to kind of get out from underneath him. You're going to be able to work to the back. You're going to be able to do all those things. He wants to be on the feet, boxing you at range. So get all the way in, press him to the fence, put your chin underneath put your forehead under his chin, and be grimy in there, knees, elbows, all those things. And if you can't be in that close, get all the way out, and start kicking the calf. It is. I'm surprised that people aren't doing more of that. Capitalize on them long, skinny legs and them little tiny calves, and just exploiting them, just kicking the calf. And you take me down if you knock me over from a shot because I'm kicking the calf. But by the end of round 1, I should have done enough damage to where you're hopping around a little bit. You're not the same guy. You can't sit down on your punches. You got to be powder puffing those things. So, but overall though, Sean Woodson had a great performance. He weathered the storm the first, 2 minutes, and then he started putting them on. He started touching Padilla, started, hanging on his head, started doing all those things. Great performance by him. This kid Felipe Lima, this kid's good, man. The one that fought Miles Johns. The kid can fight everywhere. Fantastic fighter. Going to be a good addition to the UFC. Looking forward to seeing what he does. I know he's got some fights in the UFC. He's got 2 fights in the UFC. But that was his second fight tonight. Great job, man. Great job. I'm looking forward to seeing him fight some more. He was something that he just looked comfortable in there. He looked like he's someone that could do it everywhere. Miranda Maverick, she was not impressed by her own performance, and so she decided to she took to social media and basically complained about herself. Look, they're not going to all be easy. Miranda, you know this, man. I thought you fought a good fight, a smart fight. It wasn't what you wanted, but guess what? John and I always talk about this. The number one thing is you walked away on a win. You got out of there on a win. You collected that win bonus. You go home, see your baby, do your thing, and get ready to fight again. That's the biggest thing. All right, hey, that's going to wrap up our UFC talk. And before we move on to anything else, we're going to jump into a couple little news things real quick. Before we move on to anything else, this show is brought to you by BetUS. And when you guys use YouTube 150 as the promo code, they'll give you 150% bonus on your first deposit and 125% bonus on your next 2 deposits. Make sure you guys use the YouTube 150 code at BetUS. Also, too, the hydration drink that we all drink, it's called LMNT. Fantastic product right here. They come in cans. They also come in the packets. They come in all different flavors. You got watermelon flavor. You got grapefruit. You got the raspberry. You've got all different colors. They even have some for your coffee. So they've got a chocolate caramel. It's freaking awesome, man. I love it. It's good when it's hot. That's the one you can have when it's hot. I also don't put a full packet of the chocolate caramel in my coffee unless I have a really, really big cup of coffee because it's a little too much salt overload for me. But it does taste good. So use the link down below in our descriptions and they will send you a bonus package of products. So whatever their newest product is, or they'll just send you a mixed packet of a bunch of those little packets that you can carry with you everywhere. Have them on hand whenever you need them. I use one in the morning before I go run and before I get a lift in. Then I use one later a little bit in the afternoon if I need it. If I don't need it, then I just have some tonight like I am right now. It helps me sleep at night. Like I said, 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, 60 milligrams of magnesium helps me sleep at night. And our last read is right here. Make sure you guys join us over at OnlyFans. John and I were the first podcast that they ever partnered with. And since then, we've been with them for about 2.5 years now. And it's been a great relationship, man. Great partnership. We got about 1,100 members over there on OnlyFans. Make sure you guys subscribe us over there. We also do a live show on there once a month. Plus, I'll try to add in a couple, and we've got some extra content. John kind of will start posting stuff about his farm and what goes on the farm. It's called Shabby Acres is the name of his farm. Plus, we're also trying to put together something to do with his command class. So if you guys are looking to do refereeing, we're trying to put together something with OF on there so you guys can actually take it online, at least the written portions of it all. You'll have to probably attend like a 1-day thing or something like that in person for the all in training stuff. So anyways, we're still trying to work all that out, but hopefully we can get that offered to you guys. But that will be available hopefully on OnlyFans along with extra content that we put out for you guys. So subscribe to us over there. It is free. Listen, what news you got for me there, George?
Well, here's something big. New fight organization, Global Fight League, announces their launch, and they sign a whole gamut of former UFC competitors There's about 100 million names I could read off. Just name somebody from the last 10 years. I bet they're there.
Well, the one person that I did see, I saw a couple people, but the two people that I would say is Gegard Mousasi and then a friend of mine, Luke Rockhold. And I saw Anthony Pettis. So the three of them. Those are the three that I, right off the top, right when I looked at the names, those were the three names that stood out to me. I know there's other fighters that are in there. I think Benson Henderson's there, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Give me some other names.
Thiago Santos is there. We got let's see, there's so many names. Tyrone Woodley, Fabricio Verdum. We got Jeremy Stevens. We got Wanderlei. We got Jimmy Rivera.
Yeah. So this is what I've heard is, even though they have all these fighters, they pretty much sign them like kind of to like a retainer, pretty much like, hey, I'm going to sign you. I'm going to take your authorization, basically form of you saying you're willing to fight for me. And then I'm going to take you to sponsors and try to basically raise capital to do this. And so they're going to try to blow this thing up. And I think they'll have some success. Look, when I look at the field of MMA, this is a great position for this company to come in on. And I said this when Bellator went away to the PFL. I said, give them a year and they will bomb this. They will mess this thing up. When PFL took over Bellator, I thought they were going to roll it all into one. And if they did that, then I thought for sure they would have some sort of success. But when they started rolling out, we're going to have a European league, we're going to have an African league, we're going to have a Middle East league, we're going to have Australian league, a Brazilian league, a US, all this. I was like, you guys, this is not going to work. There's just no way. And then you have all these fighters that are with Bellator that are signed to, exclusive long-term contracts, 4 to 6 fights, sometimes even 8. I mean, and they're getting paid pretty well. I just didn't see them having success. And I said, give it a year after and we'll kind of see where they're at. It didn't even take a year. And people already saw the writing on the wall. PFL struggling. Bellator, I think, having their last show here coming up, with Paul Hughes and Usman Nurmagomedov and, some of the other guys on that card. It's going to be a great card. But I look for it to probably be one of their last, if their last. That being said, what GFL is the name of it, right?
Yep.
Yeah, look for them to make some waves. If there honestly couldn't have been a better time for another promotion to jump in and start trying to gather up some of the talent, because the PFL is going to drop some talent. And the UFC, everything that I've heard, they're only interested in about 5 to 7 fighters from Bellator and PFL. They're not interested in anyone else. They only want 5 to 7 guys. And I'd like to shoot those names over to people, but I mean, that's going to be something that some media guy is going to have to try to release to be first, because I'm not going to do it. But bottom line is, the UFC is only interested about 5 to 7 guys. So that being said, all those other fighters, they're going to need a place to go. And what other place to go? If there's a new promotion, let's go to the new one that has money, fresh new pockets to dip into. And so if you're the GFL, if you're someone that's looking to invest into the GFL, I would say this is probably the best time to invest into a company, because PFL's game plan for them to keep doing their tournament style it's not going to work. It will work, but it's not going to work for A-list fighters. It's not going to work for, your top guys, your Patchy Mix, your Johnny Eblins, your Francis Ngannou's. Those tournaments are not going to work for them. They're not trying to fight 4 times in a year, cut weight, in a certain period of time every, 4 to 6 weeks. They're not trying to do that. They're trying to make as much money as they can, to fight as least amount of times as they can, and put as least amount of damage on their body. That's what they're trying to do. So if PFL is trying to keep that format, they're going to lose a lot of their top guys. Bellator was a way for them to kind of keep those top guys and still have a promotion to build around. But they seem pretty adamant, after you've taken $500 million from the Middle East and put it into your PFL, you've got to have something to show for it. And they still have an organization. They have a smart cage. They still have some fighters that are there. I would say this was probably one of their best tournament seasons. I thought it was one of the most entertaining. And the finishes they had on their last finals were freaking fantastic. There were some good fights on that card overall. But when I look at any other promotion, any people that are trying to start promotions or thinking about starting promotions, there's a couple things you have to remember. Do not try to compete with the UFC. It's just not worth it. Like, don't start spouting off their name. Don't start, talking about your fighters being better than theirs. Don't start doing that. Just jump in and say, look, we're just trying to just basically coexist. We're going to have our own promotion. We're going to do our own thing. We're going to try to get on a network, and we're going to do the best we can, with the fighters that we have, and build from there. And if you can build homegrown fighters, that's how you're going to have success. That's what the difference was between when we had Strikeforce and we try to compete against UFC. The only thing that made Strikeforce so popular was it was relatively new. Obviously, it was new in California. They were able to launch the very first fight, first MMA fight and promotion in California. That's what catapulted them. But then on top of that, though, all the fighters, pretty much all those fighters that they had were predominantly homegrown. You had fighters. You had DC, you had Luke, you had, even though I was already with the UFC, you had Gilbert Melendez, even though he wasn't with the UFC, but he fought over in Dream. Like, we had guys that were kind of local that were homegrown. And you had Kung Lee, you had Frank Shamrock, you had Nick. Yeah, I know that Nick had fought in the UFC. Nate Diaz had also fought in Strikeforce. He hadn't fought in the UFC yet. Then he went to the UFC. There was just a lot of fighters in that area that were homegrown that could be built on. And I think if you're the GFL, you've got to, sure, use these guys now, but just remember they're towards the end. So to think that you got to pay them $700,000 to fight, you don't. They have nowhere else to go. And I'm not trying to knock the fighters. I'm not trying to tell the promotion that they shouldn't pay them. They should pay them a nice purse. But let's be honest, like, there's not a lot of promotions for the fighters to go to right now. And so when they leave out of Bellator and they leave out of PFL, and the fighters that leave the UFC, they're going to try to find a location to go to. And GFL is going to have deep pockets. I think from the beginning, if they can get onto a network, they should be doing pretty well, as long as it's not pay to watch or pay to play kind of thing. I think they should be doing well. So hopefully, I wish them nothing but success, because the more fight promotions that are out there, the better the talent continues to develop across the world. That's the biggest thing. You got Cage Warriors, you got all these, like, whatever these promotions are, the more promotions that are out there, that's what helps develop the younger talent, gives them a place to make a name for themselves. Paddy Pimblett, Conor McGregor, Paul Hughes, all fought in these smaller promotions. All the Dagestan guys, ACA, ACB, or whatever it was. I think it's ACA now, I think. Like, they've all fought in those other promotions that helped them get to this level where they needed to be to get to the UFC. So GFL, I think, if you're going to have success, you've got to make sure that you are not trying to compete with the UFC. Just simply say, we're trying to coexist, and we want to try to, bring in the best fighters we can. And I think, honestly, the recipe for success is to try to develop homegrown athletes. If you can do that, if you can stay loyal to your athletes and they can stay loyal to you, that's the other part. It's a two-way street. That's a very difficult thing to do, because you have the UFC that's lingering up here, that can take your fighters at any moment. So you got to do what you can to keep them, but without overpaying them, to keep yourself in business. That being said, it's going to be very difficult, but I think there is right now the best opportunity for a fight promotion to start, possibly even two. So what else you got for us?
I want to give a big shout out to my guy, Jack Shore. He announced his retirement from MMA. He's going to join. He's just going to focus on coaching. Started off real hot, been on a little bit of a skid, but I love the man. He reached out to me when I had my amateur fight.
Yeah.
Said some nice words. He's a good guy.
He sounds like a good dude. Oh, let's talk about this real quick. Dun, dun, dun. Let me see. This sounds like let's jump into this. What the hell just happened there?
What's up, everybody? We are going back to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia on February 1st, live from the ANB Arena. In the main event, former middleweight champion Israel Adesanya will face top 5 ranked Nasruddin Imavov. This will be the first time Israel Adesanya has been in a non-title fight since 2019. Adesanya is one of the most exciting and talented strikers to ever compete in the UFC. Out of 24 wins, 16 have come by knockout. He holds the UFC middleweight record for most knockdowns, second title fight wins, and second longest win streak. He holds wins over Alex Pereira, Anderson Silva, Robert Whittaker, and the list just goes on and on. Nasruddin Imavov is one of the brightest young contenders in the division. He's currently on a 3-fight win streak, beating all ranked opponents, and he has a similar style to Israel. He loves to strike. In the co-main event, undefeated Shara Bullet Magomedov faces Michael Venom Page.
Boom. That's going to be a fun fight.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's going to be a little bit of this dancing around, so it could potentially be a little boring. But I think MVP's got something to prove. I think Shara, he doesn't have anything to prove, but I've seen him. He's crazy. But his striking seemingly seems to get better and better inside the cage as he's making progress. He's starting to feel more like it's at home. He's starting to feel like this is his place where he deserves to be. Not only that, but now he's starting to feel comfortable inside that cage. When he walks into the UFC cage, it feels good. It feels like home now. MVP is still trying to find his stride. So we'll see. But I think the speed's going to be a problem for him, for Shara. But Shara, if he can get to the legs quick, because MVP, look, he's got a wide stance, and we saw it with Douglas Lima. When Lima was able to kick his calf, kind of knocked him off base, and he was able to catch him and knock him out in Bellator. That way happened because he got to the legs, and Lima's got some of the heaviest leg kicks in the game. Shara's got fast, seems to be pretty hard leg kicks. So if he can catch him low on the calf when he's, bouncing around or stepping in, he might have success there. But the hand speed and the speed is definitely something to deal with. He's still 37, I think MVP is. Still fast as fuck, man. Fast as fuck. Yeah. So I think that's two big fight announcements. Izzy versus Imavov should be a fun fight. I think the wrestling, though, of Imavov may, if he decides to use it, will have an advantage because it'll keep Izzy a little hesitant on the feet to really kind of pull the trigger on it and let things go in 3, 4, 5 punch combinations. But I'm looking forward to that fight, man. That's Imavov kind of, I wouldn't say he came out of nowhere, but he seems like he's progressively getting more comfortable inside that cage and just realizing, like, look, if I just pull the trigger and I stay busy, he has success. And I go back to, like, at the beginning of this show, if I could go back in my own career, it'd be about, being a little bit more busy. And Imavov has been busy as hell. So when you're talking about him and the time frame that he spent inside that cage, the amount of time that Izzy spent inside the cage in the last 2 years, not the same. Not the same. So Imavov just being active and busy, and Izzy taking that 6 months, 7 months, or whatever it was off, and then coming back and then having the loss, that type of stuff. I mean, that starts to catch up with you. I know that the takeaway is you need to get your body in line and rest, get your mind right, all those things. I get it with the Izzy situation, but it's hard to you feel like you're always fighting from behind now after you take that time off. Got to keep that ball rolling. What else you got for us, George? We'll do one more.
We had recently Patricio Pitbull. He said that he basically saying that he really wants to end up in the UFC. He wants his next fight there. He feels like that will cement everything in his legacy. What do you think? Do you think he has a good chance of making it? I don't even know if he's a free agent right now.
Who's this?
Pitbull. Patricio Pitbull.
Oh, okay. Let me see. I think I saw this, right? Do I think Patricio has a good chance of getting there? Okay, so I did a video which BetUS was supposed to put out. I'm not sure if they did or not. But I did a video basically talking about this. Is that Dana White right now is waiting for those fighters, like I said earlier, for those fighters from the PFL and Bellator to either get released or ask for their release so they can be released and skate off. Dana White has had to pay for every top world-class fighter that he's ever had that came from another promotion. He's like, he had to buy the promotion. He bought Pride. He bought the WFA. He bought Strikeforce. This would be the first time he's like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not trying to buy the whole promotion just to get 6 or 7 fighters. He's not doing that. And he was asked this question at the last pay-per-view by an MMA Junkie reporter, I believe. And they asked him, like, is Patricio Pitbull someone you'd be interested in? And he's like, who are you talking about? He's like, Patricio Pitbull. He's like, yeah, Pitbull. And he smiles and smirks about it because he knows. He knows that, look, the PFL's canceling events. They're, basically saying that there's no schedule past the next fight for Bellator. He sees the writing on the wall. He's been in this business too long. He understands that, look, when you start canceling events, you start releasing guys like Yaroslav Amosov, Lorenz Larkin, guys that are coming off wins, guys that are 27-1 in the sport, guys that are former champions, you're losing money. When you're losing money, and you know that it's starting to dry out, he knows that. He talks to the guys in the Middle East. He knows where they get their funding from. He knows that, like, hey, we're going to maybe keep doing it, but not at the level we're doing it now. There's no threat anymore. When Dana White knows the investors to the other company, to the PFL, game's over, man. Like, he already knows what they're willing to put in. He already knows what their game plan is not working. And moving forward is going to be one of those things where, okay, what do we do next? So he doesn't need to do anything. He's just going to wait. I think Patricio Pitbull is the reason why I say yes, he'll sign Patricio, because Patricio was basically a pillar of the organization. 1. 2 is not only is he a multiple-time world champion. 2, he's got to win over Michael Chandler by knockout. 3, and lastly, there's fights for him to be made that will be fun for them, that will still make them a ton of money in Brazil. Him and Jose Aldo, for sure, will crush it. And now I know Jose will have to come up to 145. Patricio will stay at 45 probably. Doesn't want to make that cut to 35 again. I think Aldo will fight him and please to fight him at that weight class. They're both older. Patricio 4 years or 3 years older than Aldo. But there's fights to be had there, man. There's fights for Patricio there. I mean, let's be honest. Volkanovski's not a young guy either. And they're very similar in body style. Let's see that fight. Neither one of them's champion right now. I mean, Patricio's champion at 140, 145 there, I think. But yeah, there's a fight to be had there. So you've got certain fights that are there that you could put together for Patricio. I don't really know outside of the other guys. I'm surprised that they haven't picked up Yaroslav Amosov, 27-1, great record, fun fighter to watch. His only loss is to Jason Jackson. And I've said this from the very beginning when Jason was making his run up. I said Jason's got the body style to give Amosov some problems. Got the long range striking, the kicks. He started off as a wrestler, good takedown defense. Yeah, I'm like, he's got the body style and sure enough, he gave Amosov problems, gave him his one loss. Overall, though, man, like, there's going to be some good guys. Like I said, there's only a handful of guys, though, that I've heard from people that I know within the UFC. They're only interested in about 6 or 7 guys. So to think that they're going to just take up all the champions, I don't think they're interested in a lot of the champions. There's certain guys on the roster that they're interested in, but that's it. They're not. They don't have to be champions. They're interested in certain guys on the roster because they see the potential in those guys. So even if you're a champion in Bellator or PFL, it doesn't guarantee you a spot. They may have let you bring you over, but it'll be probably for a fraction of the cost. If you do get released or you do ask for your release or you do come over, there'll be something like that. But because, it's easy for them to market like, hey, you're a former champion or you are the current champion that left, whatever it was. I can now market you as a former champion for another organization. And if our guys beat you, then our guys beat you. Makes them look even better. Who knows? I think that's going to pretty much wrap us up. What do you think there, Keto?
I think we're good to go.
I thought you were going to talk more, man. You're killing me.
What do you want me to say?
You know what? One last thing. Let's end on this. Devin Haney, man, really? Suing him? Really?
He's lost so much credibility after that fight,
That's horrible.
It's just like, if the boxing, like, if all the boxing world, like the legit boxers, like if you're the laughing, like if you're the laughing point, that's not a good look, especially for someone who wants to be world class and champion. It's not a good look.
I don't get it, man. I don't get it. You lost. I mean, he just lost. It was, and then Ryan Garcia's fighting in Japan New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey guys, I wanted to also say this before we wrap this thing up. Is Tuesday Night Live will be switched to Wednesday Night Live because Big John and I will be joining the Jackson podcast on Tuesday and in LA. So we are both out of here. That's why he's not here. He's already in LA because he had an event for, I believe, like an old friend's birthday from the LAPD, I believe. So he's out there for that. And him and I will be linking up.
Thanks for the invite, you know. It's not like I live out here, you know. Thanks for the invite. I love Rampage. I'll just text him.
And then I will be there. I fly in, fly out on Tuesday. So if you guys can, make sure you guys. I'm not sure if they do. I don't think they do it live. Do they do it live? No. So, but yeah, we're gonna film on Tuesday. I don't know when it'll drop, but I'm gonna fly in, fly out on Tuesday. So we're gonna do Wednesday Night Live. It'll be Wednesday. We'll be filming Wednesday Night Live. So John will be back. I will be back, and we will be doing our show then. So hopefully you guys tune in for that. Wednesday Night Live, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Wednesday Night Live. Let's have some fun, man. Obviously, no fights to talk about, so we'll be doing a lot of super chats and a lot of talking to you guys that are in the comment section. So make sure you guys join us. Don't miss out. We're going to have a blast. It's going to be a fun time. And make sure you guys use BetUS promo code YouTube150 for your 150% bonus. Also, make sure you guys subscribe to us over on OnlyFans. And last but not least, use the link down below in the descriptions for Element, your best hydration drink around in the business. Kid safe, kid friendly. And I love it. A little bit before bed. Helps me sleep. Hey, guys, I want to thank you guys so much. And as like Big John would say, we will see you.